Everybody, let's enjoy that!
Hello honeys, today we're talking all about Dolly Devil. From its real-life inspirations to coords you've probably never even heard of, I've found everything there is to know. There will be minor spoilers for the Aikatsu anime, so if that's okay with you, let's get started. One of the first things we need to clear up about Dolly Devil is its real-life inspirations. It's the smallest Aikatsu brand we've covered so far and has an intentionally vague concept because of the risque nature of its source material, Agajo Gyaru. Let's get the definition out of the way. Agajo is the title given to models in the magazine Little Devil Agaha, and Gyaru, or gal, is a cultural movement in Japan that revolves around female rebellion. So Agajo Gyaru is the rebellious style adopted by models in Little Devil Agaha. I cover Gyaru in more detail in my Vivid Kiss deep dive, and as we talked about in my Spicy Agaha deep dive, Aikatsu sexy type started with Gyaru fashion. But whereas Spicy Agaha lost its Gyaru influences over time, as did the other sexy brands, Dolly Devil was brought in to revive Agajo within the series. We get our first clue about these inspirations in the headquarters for Dolly Devil, Tokyu Plaza Omotesando Harajuku, referred to as the Plaza building in the anime. It's a real shopping mall that opened in 2012 and housed the first physical store for a popular Agajo brand, Reidi. Reidi is one of several clothing brands established by former models of Little Devil Agaha, aka Agajos. Reidi's founder and head designer is Muto Shizuka, and its concept is being feminine anytime, anywhere, and wanting to be seen as cute by the people you love. The success of Reidi made Tokyu Plaza a memorable home of Gyaru fashion in a time where the style as a whole was on the decline. The main reason for this decline was that Gyaru culture started as a youth movement from its roots in the 90s into the 2000s. But by the 2010s, most Gyarus had to trade in their rebellious styles for more work-appropriate clothing, especially for those like Muto Shizuka who were interested in becoming entrepreneurs and business leaders. And as they embraced more mainstream styles in their brands, they effectively closed the doors on what we now think of as Gyaru fashion. So that's why even though we're talking about Dolly Devil, a fictional brand created around 2015, we need to go back in time to the 2000s. Because just like Reidi, Dolly Devil was created with the intention to follow in those iconic Gyaru footsteps. And it doesn't get more iconic than Agajo favorites like Tralala, Gold's Infinity, and Mars. Today, especially in the West, we associate Agajo Gyaru with these brands, with pink, black, ribbons, and rhinestones. But it's important to note that Agajo Gyaru in Japan is a much broader style. It basically just refers to whatever the models in Agaha were wearing, and at the time were pretty explicitly united by the desire to appeal to men. So as long as it was sexy, flirty, or alluring, it had a place in Agaha and Agajo fashion. Even though I'm only showing examples that match Dolly Devil, these outfits are just one niche within the broader Agajo style. Dolly Devil's main inspiration is the Japanese clothing brand Mars. Although Tralala and Gold's Infinity dabbled in the same style during the height of its popularity, Mars owned the style we associate with Agajo today. It lived and breathed many of the same motifs as Dolly Devil before it also transitioned into toned-down styles in the late 2010s. Mars' signature color palette is black and hot pink with occasional pastel pink, white, and purple accents. Then it adds ribbons, lace, roses, gold jewelry, and faux fur for appliques. And its main patterns are leopard, plaid, florals, hearts, and jewelry prints. There were variations on these motifs, but that's the gist. The main difference between Dolly Devil and Mars is that Dolly Devil silhouettes are more modest and use more A-line cuts and corset pieces than bodycon dresses and mini skirts. The roots of these particular motifs run pretty deep, from the playful and feminine work of Betsy Johnson in the early 2000s to the Parisian glamour mimicked by Victoria's Secret, all the way back to the distinctive pink and black style of the original Eloise books of the 1950s. That rabbit hole is a little too deep for the scope of this video, but if you want to embody Dolly Devil, you'll eventually end up in the 1950s Paris couture renaissance. And if that sounds like a little too much to dig into, start with magazines like Little Devil Agaha, Happy Nuts, Ranzaki, and Egg between 2007 and 2011. Just be aware that those issues do have mature content and are for an adult audience. That's partly why, as we'll soon see, there's a lot about Dolly Devil that is left unexplained in Aikatsu. The chief example of this ambiguity is Dolly Devil's top designer, Kisaragi Lucy. As reported by the fictional magazine Secret Cat, Dolly Devil is known for being a fashionable Gyaru brand for city girls. It seems to focus on that glimmer of cuteness found behind a veil of maturity. Dolly Devil's top designer, Kisaragi Lucy, is apparently a bit of a strange one. There aren't many details, but she apparently values creative spark above all, and can only be described as the embodiment of freedom. Most Aikatsu designer characters have more detail than this, usually some kind of backstory or intentional reference to a real famous designer. But what we hear in Secret Cat is all that's ever been said about Lucy. She's spontaneous, creative, and works at the Plaza building. That's it. She doesn't even match any real Gyaro designer that I can find, neither in name nor design. And unless I'm missing something, that ambiguity seems to be intentional. By referencing the Tokyo Plaza, Lucy leads us to Reidi and Muto Shizuka. But the trail ends there, because if you reference any more of Reidi or Shizuka or Agajo culture in general, you quickly run into mature content. In the West, you can think of Paris Hilton and Hollywood party girls of the 2000s as the closest cultural equivalent. So we don't get any backstory about Lucy, not even a hint about how her brand was established. All we know is that she has 3 voice staff members and spends her time looking for fresh inspiration out in the city. Instead, Lucy's character revolves around her representative idols, Daichi Nono and Shirakawa Lisa. According to both series director Riichi Kimura and character designer Hiroko Yaguchi in the Aikatsu official guidebook Akari Generation, Nono and Lisa were designed to fit Dolly Devil style first and foremost. That's most likely why they're a duo, to reflect the brand's mature versus youthful duality. But because of the story of season 4, they ended up as rural potato farmers. In order to bridge the gap between their countryside origins and Dolly Devil's urban Gyaro style, the brand and Lucy shifted to tell the story of Nono and Lisa's idol transformation. Lucy finds their small town roots and their close friendship endearing, and admires their bravery in seeking out a bold brand like hers. She encourages girls who might otherwise be very sheltered to branch out and seize their own ambitions. After meeting Nono and Lisa, Lucy bases the Dolly leopard coords on their hair accessories, combining them into one shared design to symbolize the friendship that inspired her. But when they ask her for another dress, she decides to foster more competition between them. Growth through rivalry is an Aikatsu standard after all. Still, their competition ends in a draw, and Lucy agrees to make another dress, Silky Love Devil, combining their personalities. Lucy is free-spirited enough to be charmed by Nono and mature enough to comfort Lisa. She herself is a mix of their traits, and purposely written to be a good role model for both of them. She's a big part of why Dolly Devil feels like such a good fit for both girls. All 3 characters and the brand were essentially woven around each other in the short time they existed in the series, which is also part of why they're so memorable. Dolly Devil's official brand description is roughly translated as sometimes a spicy doll, sometimes a sexy devil, a popular sexy devil brand where its designs tingle the hearts of maidens to become a whole new person, having the freedom to enjoy all you can do as its concept. Which is pretty directly referencing both Little Devil Ageha and Nono and Lisa's story. As we mentioned before, Dolly Devil was the second to last brand introduced in the original Aikatsu series, and therefore it's one of the smallest. It has 23 coords in the original DCD game. 2 more coords, Bright Devil and Heaven Devil, were added in Aikatsu on Parade. 20 more coords were then added by the mobile game Aikatsu Photo on Stage for a total of 45 coords. I haven't gotten any requests for a Dolly Devil photo katsu ranking yet, but there are a lot of great outfits we could talk about. Let me know if you'd like to see that. Dolly Devil's premium rare dresses are Dolly Leopard and Silky Love Devil, and its boom coords are Elegant Amethyst and Lady Amethyst for jewelry, as well as Glamorous Crane for party deco. Almost all of its coords are also fever coords, so I won't list all of those. The brand has no constellation or story dresses. Within the context of the Aikatsu anime and DCD game, Dolly Devil is essentially a condensed version of Spicy Ageha with a slightly more youthful twist. You can see how close their design philosophies are when you compare the 2 brands in Photo on Stage, where they can easily be confused for one another. That is the case for several other sexy brands too, it's because they share the same inspirations. That overlap is mainly because sexy is a very difficult concept to translate into a children's series. For one thing, using the English word for the type distances it from what Japanese audiences would think of as ecchi, a much more directly provocative term in Japan. Sexy as a foreign word leaves more room for interpretation, including more innocent interpretations that lean closer to mature or grown up or bold. And since Aikatsu is all about the aspirational side of growing up, the sexy brands are very important. Using the English word sexy does come with limitations though, because it conjures images of Western fashion and the niche communities in Japan that follow Western designers, like gals aka gyaro. In Aikatsu Stars and beyond, sexy would start to branch out into niches like burlesque and theatrical costumes, but the original series was still very attached to its gyaro roots. Dolly Devil is essentially Gyaro's farewell in the series, at least in its classic form. For me, Dolly Devil stands out as one of my favorite brands because it's so condensed. It has an almost perfectly unified color palette, defined motifs, and strong designs. I also enjoy Lucy, Nono, and Lisa a lot, and I find their story to be engaging even outside of the rest of the Aikatsu plotline. It definitely deserves the popularity it's maintained after so many years. If you love Dolly Devil, make sure to check out my Dolly Devil ranking next, and look out for my Ron deep dive next month. Bye bye!
It's a show time.